Welcome back to Coffee and Cupcakes. On this week's episode, we have our first man on the show, and we are talking about dating. So ladies, stick around. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. I'm Christy B at Christy B Loves, and I am joined today by a very special guest, if I do say so myself. My husband, Brian, is here.
Hi there.
So I like to kind of let my friends get to know you a little bit with a few rapid fire questions. Okay? Yeah?
I'm ready.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs by a hair.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
I already knew that one. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh gosh. French fries.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What were you thinking?
I don't know. I would have gone with something more salacious than French fries, but okay. All right. Now that we know you, Brian, cheers. Oh, by the way, Coffee and Cupcakes is now the beer and bacon edition because we've got a guy here. So I did this for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so we want to talk about dating today, and why don't you tell me what makes you a qualified person to be here talking about dating?
I've been on a lot of dates when I was single, and I think I learned many lessons from the hundreds of dates that I had been on.
Can I say how many?
Sure.
600 plus first dates.
600 plus first dates over an 18-year period, give or take.
And why do you know that number?
Well, because I created a dating matrix.
A spreadsheet.
Yes.
Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, a spreadsheet that included the name of the person, how we met, who introduced us, how many dates we had been on, and more or less how it ended.
Okay, this is not normal. But then again, why would I marry someone normal? So you've been really great helping my friends through their dating processes. And I want to talk about some of the kind of classic issues that come up in dating. And let's hear it from a man's perspective of what's really going on. What would you say is one of the classic dating scenarios that comes up?
Well, I think the classic scenario that comes up first to me is after the date, what is one supposed to do?
After the first date.
After the first date.
Right.
And what is the man's role? What is the woman's role? And how to interpret each other's signals that they're giving. So
This is a great question. Right. And I think it's changed a lot as dating has changed too. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
I think that women in particular overthink the situation.
No.
Yes.
What? We overthink?
Yes. It's and
Lies.
The very simple truth is that if the guy is worth dating, then he's going to call you. He's going to call you within a very reasonable period of time, a day or two. If he doesn't call within that time period, he is either A, not interested, or B, not worthy of you.
I completely agree with this. I mean, we could say this 50 times over and that would be valuable enough, because too often women were going, okay, but I haven't heard from him yet. Well, maybe he's just really busy with work, you know? He has a startup and he's really passionate about this and he travels a lot, and we make all of these excuses. And that all may be true, but what I like what you said, if he's worth dating, right? Because do you really want to wait like 2 weeks to hear from him and then go, is that really who you want to be dating?
If the dude doesn't call, it's one of two things. He's either not interested, in which case, well, that's that. Or maybe he is interested, but he hasn't been brought up correctly, or maybe he's just not prioritizing you. He's got other things like his startup or something like that. If a guy does not make you a priority, then he is not worth dating. So it's actually very easy from the woman's perspective. If the dude calls you within a couple of days, he's interested. If not, don't overthink it. Don't rationalize. Don't make excuses for him. Just move on.
I completely agree with that. Saves you a lot of time, a lot of heartache. If he's not going to prioritize you now, what makes you think he's ever going to prioritize you?
The other option, of course, is if the woman makes the first move and kind of chases the man. And sometimes that happens, and it can be very,
Eat some bacon.
warm. What?
He loves doing this. Anyone that we meet, you love telling the story of like how I chased after him, which those of you out there that know the real story, you know the real story.
She stalked me. That's okay.
Yeah.
All worked out for the
totally
best.
fine. So does this okay, but this is a traditional male-female role. Like even if the woman initiated the first date, I think it's still on the man to pursue, just because it doesn't matter how empowered we are, and we like to be pursued. That's the case, so end of story. Just
Equality for women is not equality across the board, because women don't want that. Women want to be treated with an equal amount of respect. They want to be treated equal in the workforce, equal financially, but not equally in dating. They like to be treated like ladies. They like chivalry.
But
that's the tricky part in the modern feminist, world in which we live, is that some men think that, they have to be completely equal.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Okay, but this is something that I heard recently. I heard a guy saying, what am I supposed to teach my son? How am I going to raise him in this world where, women are equal, but you're supposed to open the door for a woman? Like, what kind of messages am I sending to him? And he seemed like he was really struggling with this. And I thought, really, is it that hard? What would you do in that situation?
Well, I think that first I have to
bacon to the dog.
feed
Feed
Mr.
the
Bubbles.
tribute. Yes.
I have to give the tribute to Mr. Bubbles. I think that a woman should be proud of where they are in society, and that they should insist upon being treated with equality in the workforce and in pay, but also be treated like a woman in a chivalry sort of way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and that's what guys want anyway. Any guy who wants a woman to be, subordinate financially is not worth it either. But a guy wants to be a guy.
So that's a big one. Is there another one that we could talk about? I feel like that's the most important one to know. If you know that, you're already light years ahead in your dating quest. But can you think of another similar type of situation that you have a perspective on that you'd like to share?
I think that, it's important for a woman to allow the man to express himself in the chivalrous sort of way. And
so do you think that some women stop that in its tracks, or we actually can discourage men from being chivalrous? Actually, I already know the answer to my question that is yes, because I used to be that way. I used to not allow a man to help me with my groceries, or rush to open the door for myself. So I used to.
I remember that. Remember how we fixed that? Negative reinforcement. Christy would always walk ahead of me and open the door and do all the things that I wanted to do for her. And I would ask her very politely to allow me to be chivalrous towards her, and she just didn't remember. And it wasn't anything, bad. It was a habit. So I used negative reinforcement.
This is terrible.
Which is
but it
completely
worked.
true. So whenever she was ahead of me and opened the door, I'd slap her in the tushy.
But I couldn't even be mad about it, because the truth is that was important. And for me, as a woman, it was really, really empowering in its own right. You pick him up. You can pick him up. To know that that it's wonderful that a man wants to do those chivalrous things for you. And
Bubbles is shy, by the way.
And that, we have to make sure as women that we're not getting in the way of a man doing that, because it's our responsibility as well to make sure that we've created the space for a man to be chivalrous. So, that has to do with dating. Those are two really important things to remember in the dating sphere.
Oh, there's another thing that I hear a lot of guys complain about the woman never offering to pay. And that's kind of a weird thing. It's like the guy wants to pay, but he wants the woman to offer to pay or to reach for her purse or something like that. It was never a big deal for me.
I think that one is a little bit more a personal preference thing. I think that's going to vary more from guy to guy. So I think it's that one I think is hard to
I've
to
heard
address.
many guys complain about that. And I think that a woman who reaches for her purse or who offers to pay or offers to not to pay the whole thing but offers to split,
right,
makes the guy feel like
more comfortable,
yes. And he's happy to pay for it himself. But some guys have this irrational thing about women expecting to be treated.
That's not irrational, because there are plenty of women that take advantage of men, right? That's a cliche that exists
For a dinner?
Trust me, I've heard some stories, okay? I've heard some stories. But so I think that the way to solve that is to always be ready to take care of yourself.
Wear eyeliner, for God's sakes.
Don't listen to him.
Wear eyeliner.
Okay, all right.
Dudes
We're going to have to wrap
love
this up.
eyeliner.
Not every dude loves eyeliner. Some men
loves
actually
eyeliner.
prefer the natural look. Yeah.
No.
Yes, they do.
No.
Chime in on this, please. Okay, this is where you come into play. I want to hear your comments below and your experiences with this. And also, if you have any little dating dilemmas, write them in, because this guy, I'm going to put him on call. He will answer your dating dilemmas.
You can leave the blush off, the lip gloss, the eyeliner rocks.
I definitely want you to chime in on this. I definitely would love for some guys to chime in too on the makeup versus natural look. By the way, I know what's going to win. It's the natural look. And this one's just a little bit weird.
Doubt it.
So thank you for sharing those 2 really valuable lessons with us. And thank you guys for being here and joining us for some beer and bacon edition of Coffee and Cupcakes. I hope that you will subscribe and join us for more episodes.
Cheers.